Welcome, Jeremy and this. Today we talk about an earthquake, a tsunami, and the curious case of a stigmata. Stay tuned.
Brother, I said go you know, but I still love. I me say all the fight them a fight. I say I win them.
Alright, today on this program we're going to talk about an earthquake, a tsunami, and a curious case of a stigmata that happened in Samoa. Okay, so we're talking about in 2009. All right, September 2009. All right, I had just returned to Samoa. I came to Samoa on the 22nd. A week later, on the 29th, I was just leaving the house to go to minutes to 7 o'clock. I was just leaving the house. I was just reversing out of the house. And then I felt the ground start to shake. All right, the car shaking, everything shaking, and so on. I see the light posts moving up and down, electric wires, the house is shaking, that sort of thing. And that continued for about a minute and a half. All right. Now I found somewhere to park, so I wouldn't get damaged if any poles fell or so on, and that was it. Now after the earthquake, everybody was outside wondering what just happened and so on. Then the news broadcast came. Okay, we had an earthquake. All right, so let me give you a backtrack now. Now, the Samoan Islands are located in what they call the Pacific Plate. Now you have around the world you have different plates. So like in the Caribbean, you have the Caribbean plate. And when we talk about plate, I mean like plate where you eat out of, yeah? Some people won't understand. But they're called tectonic plates. Now tectonic plates are below sea level, and that is what holds the earth together. So like in the Caribbean, you have the Caribbean plate, and then now you have the Pacific plate, you have the Australian plate, and all of those things. Now, periodically, you have movement of these plates. Now, when you have the movements of the plates, now it triggers a reaction, and that reaction is normally an earthquake. All right. So, in the Pacific, you have what is called the Ring of Fire. Now, the Ring of Fire extends from Chile, comes straight back to the Pacific in the Marianas Trench. Now, the Marianas Trench is like, where you have Guam and Japan and those places. You understand? And it is one of the deepest curvatures on Earth, undersea curvatures on Earth. So, yeah, what the plates do, so periodically they move or they tension, just like how you play your hand. Sometimes your hand, you flex your hand, or sometimes you release your hand, or so, or you just stretch. So the plates do that. And when they do that, it causes an earthquake. Where everything trembles and everything. Now, depending on the magnitude of that earthquake, the spin-off from that is a tsunami. Now, the earthquake at that time, I don't remember specifically. I think it was between 7.9 and 8.3, the magnitude of the earthquake that happened. All right. So we were there, and the aftermath, you started to have like aftershocks and so on. So nobody moved, nobody left. We were listening to the radio to get tidbits on what was happening. About 45 minutes into the broadcast, they started to, phone calls start to come in. Hey, X and Y flooding. And all of these calls are coming from the south coast. All right, because my wife, her family had family over there. They were getting phone calls. Now, the reports that they were getting was, look here, there was no sea left. The sea was empty. All right, so no sea, nothing, no water was in the sea. All right, and people were saying, "Oh, it's an act of God," and that sort of religious thing was happening. And then people started to say, it's strange, the place feel hot and that sort of thing. All right, some minutes later, they said they heard a tumbling sound. That was the sea coming back. People were reporting that they were seeing waves so high that they had to look up. Now, it is recorded that the waves that they were seeing was about 15 meters high. In Caribbean parlance, that's about 47 feet waves coming inland. And everybody started to scurry to get out of the way. With your help, we can do better videos, better quality videos, and better quality content. Please donate to our site. You can donate at kofi.com/Jam Samoa Fun. That is ko-fi.com/Jam Samoa Fun. Your help is needed. Thank you. This is on the south coast, and on the south coast, how it is there, it is a flat area because it's the beach, and then it rises into the mountains, and people started to run for cover. After the tsunami came, everything was basically devastated on that side of the island. You're looking from Lalumanu, go straight back to a village named Potausi. See? Or Potasi on the south coast. Alright? I tell you, devastation. They lost there was a loss of life of about 150 people, and countless others who were basically injured. They were trying to save people, or they were get caught and were able to survive. There was a guy who he had to climb a coconut tree and that sort of thing, and all of them, were telling their stories after. Complete devastation. When the emergency services went there, and we had other people who drove over to help, they were just taking up dead bodies off the street. That is how wicked it was. You understand? I'm going to tell them, man, that tsunami change everything in Samoa. Now, after the earthquake and tsunami, there was continuous aftershocks, and that played chaos on businessmen and on government. Because as there was an aftershock, then you'd have the SMS text messages from the telcos go to everybody who owned a cell phone at the time. And then during the particular time after the tsunami, the government had done some prep work in terms of where people can gather to get out of tsunami's wake if another one came. And I tell you, people were running up and down, man, helter skelter. That was it during that particular time. Now, during the time, people start to get used to the whole idea of evacuation. So every time there's a aftershock or a tremor, people just leave. Everybody was nervous. It took some while for everything to settle down and so on. Now, this is the time that I can tell you that this is where you see where people work together and get things done. Local people started to work together because you had people who lost everything. I mean, the only thing they had on their backs was the clothes on them back. They don't have nothing. So locally, people were putting together stuff, the churches, the civic groups, and everything was being delivered over there. The government was working as well because they had to build makeshift villages and so on for the people. So water tanks, all of those things, food and everything was being carried over there, at warp speed. Now, the churches came together and they started to help as well. But one of the churches, the LDS, what they call it, Church of the Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, they did an air freight with a big plane, an air freight of stuff into Samoa, man. And that was for all of the victims of the tsunami. After that, you had the New Zealand sent their Army Corps engineers. The US as well participated. The Australian government, basically the Pacific neighbors all sent their own contingents to come and assist with everything. It was, out of the whole sadness and everything, this is a complete joy to watch. During that time, because remember, Samoa was a very little, small place. You heard the helicopters going over, bzz, 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 and the kids were crazy because the first time they must see a helicopter. You understand? Because in Samoa you don't have helicopters and those things. Yeah, first they must see a helicopter. First they must see them kind of thing there. The kids are go crazy. Oh, look at the helicopter. Yeah, man, crazy thing. When I took the drive-through, because people weren't allowed to basically go in because they still considered it an unsafe zone. So after about a week or so, we were able to go in, and if you weren't a part of the whole cleanup process and everything, and we started to drive through, man, and it was total. Yeah, I tell you, I've never seen devastation like that. Never seen devastation like that. You understand? We drive around and we look and see what's happening, and it was totally devastated. On the plus side, some good things that came out of the tsunami. The government saw the need now to build new roads and so on. So they built new roads, they established new villages, so they were able to move the people, most of the people that were living on the flat areas up into the higher regions, and they established villages there. People got plots of land where they could live on and so on. All of that went on. The next thing, the beaches got so much better. Now I tell you, like Lalomano Beach, before it was a bit flatter and so on, but when you went to Lalomano at this time, it's just like Negril now. You understand? When you go over there, you have to put on your dark glasses, man. The sun white. Yeah, man. So, a lot of things came out of that. Now, a lot of the hotels were basically, you had some beach valleys and hotels that were damaged. I mean, some of them, they lost everything. Some were partially damaged and so on. One of the resorts, Sinale Resort, the owner and his wife died during the tsunami. Joe Annandale. His wife died during the tsunami, I might tell you, man. There's a big outpouring. Because what started to happen now, because the place was damaged, most of the people who visited, like, they had a religious following of people, that came over every year for holidays and so on. So what these business people started to do was they started to see how best they could help the resort to get back on its feet and so on. There's a big outpouring, man, for them. And that also helped the village as well, because they were able to make some, like, higher areas where, meeting areas where the people can come to whenever there's an emergency like that. That further spawned into, skills training and so on. And like in that area, they are able to train people and so on and send them overseas for work and so forth. So those are some of the good things that came out of that tsunami. All right. Now, post-tsunami, the government basically put together a plan. And at that time, the Prime Minister was Tulaipa. They basically came up with a plan and executed. So they had what they call tsunami zones. So these were clearly marked, and the routes were marked as well. Just like how when you go on the roadside, you see your street signs. All right, so it shows you where your tsunami area is and where you can go to your tsunami, and that is around the entire island that was affected by the tsunami. The areas that were affected by the tsunami. So in town and go straight back to the south coast, they have tsunami areas, and even on the west coast as well, they have areas where they mark as tsunami zones. All right, so the government basically stepped up and put a plan in place. Now after that, they started to have drills. So like they had drills in the villages, drills in the towns, and so on, to get people prepared for a tsunami and so on. The last thing that they did, they installed what is called a tsunami warning system. So those tsunami warning system, like when you watch a movie, or those movies where you have like the Living Dead and those movies where you hear that the siren sound. Yeah, that is basically how it sounds. So when you hear that sound, it's a time for evacuate. Yeah, so they put that in place as well. So out of that tsunami thing came many good things, and the government and the people learned from it, because prior to that time, I think the only time they had tsunamis here, based on my reading, because I checked up on it, they had tsunamis. They had a tsunami in 1917, but there was no death. They had some in the 60s, 50s, 60s time. There was no death as well. In 1981, there was another tsunami, but they had 3 deaths during that particular time. So in 2009 was one of the largest tsunamis that they had, and with so many people, perishing, after that. So, that was a learning curve for everybody, that tsunami. And if you come here, people every year, they basically have a little, get together and so on. The newspapers, everybody, remembering that day, because, here, them cherish them loved ones and so on, and them talk about it and things. And, the churches as well, they have their sermons, and they have the little candlelight vigils and so on, to remember the people who were lost. Okay, so this one now is something more you're going to wait. I think you guys have been waiting on this one. Now, normally, under the whole, in Christianity, you have, I think, especially under the Roman Catholicism, all right, they talk about the stigmata. Now, the stigmata, the first recorded stigmata, I think, was in the early 1200s. Yeah, that guy named Saint Francis. He had a stigmata. Now, what is a stigmata? Stigmata is basically somebody who experienced the pain and suffering of when Jesus Christ was crucified. So they'll get the marks in their hands, on their feet, the same kind of marks as if nails were driven through the hands. Some of them, they get the ones through the feet as well, or they on the crown of their heads, where the crown of thorns was put on Jesus's head. Some of them as well, they cry blood and so on, similar to what happened in the Garden of Gethsemane when Jesus was betrayed by Judas. So that is what a stigmata is. Now, normally, stigmata tend to happen within the realm of Catholicism. So it's normally within the Catholic Church, or members of the Catholic Church that have that get a stigmata. 1 or 2 of them get stigmata and so on. Now, for stigmata, the Roman Catholic Church has their set of people who investigate and so on. So normally they bring the person to Rome, to the Vatican, and then they go through a series of examinations to determine whether or not the stigmata is a real stigmata or somebody was faking it or so on. Now, in Samoa, 2016, you had a young lady, her name was Toa. Now, Toa is a customer of mine, all right? Her father is from the Protestant church. Now, if anybody follow religious stuff, the Protestant church was basically opposite to the Roman Catholic Church. Here they call them the Presbyterians. The Church of Grand Cayman in Jamaica, as they are known, or in the Caribbean. Here it's the Christian Congregational Church. Now, Toa is a member of the Christian Congregational Church. Her father is a pastor of the Christian Congregational Church. All right? And she had a stigmata. Now, that sent the entire religious place in chaos. All right? Now, a lot of people were saying, boy, it wasn't real, and she was faking it, and all kind of things. The newspaper, everybody. Oh, this is not supposed to happen outside of Catholicism, and so on. So this is one of the first recorded stigmata external of Catholicism. It's also the first recorded stigmata in the Pacific. It has never happened anywhere else. It hasn't happened in New Zealand, in Australia, in Fiji, nowhere else in the Pacific. But it happened in Samoa. Now, the churches were on an uproar. A lot of things happened out of that stigmata thing. All right? There are a lot of rumors started to spread and so on. In meetings with the Prime Minister at the time, in 2016, that was Tulepa, that I think during that time he had just won back the seat as in elections, because this happened, I think, early 2016 it happened. So the newspaper, Samoa Observer, they had it that the Prime Minister himself was there and witnessed the stigmata. There are videos all about now. I'm not going to show these videos because I didn't take it myself. You understand? So I'm not really want to use people material and then we have some issues. So anyway, you can look around on the internet and you can find videos of her experiencing the stigmata because it was filmed. You understand? And you see the gashes on her wrists. You can see the hole in her hands. You can see the thing around her, all of that. So eventually, the after discussions, the Christian Congregational Church and the Roman Catholics, they had a discussion and it was agreed that she and her dad would be sent to the Vatican, and they'll do some investigations and so on, and we see what happened. Now, apart from her having it in 2016, it started to reoccur. So periodically, in some years, it happened over and over. So now people start to realize it's not a fluke. Now, a lot of people were scared, because they have never seen something like this. You know how it go when people talk, oh, she is a devil possessed and all kind of those things, and well, you have true Christians who understand, what is happening and say, no, this is not. So it was about education. A lot of people weren't educated on a stigmata. And, some of them saw it in movies. So they thought that, look here, oh, she's possessed and so on. But nothing like that. It was a real stigmata. See, it ended up like, they went through all of that and so on. At the end of everything, after she went to Rome and the investigations were done and so on, it was, they said it was a real stigmata. However, you never have like a big press release to say this is what the case is. It's basically kept hush-hush, and everything. Now she has her family and, she's married as well and she have her children and so on, but she's still experiencing. Oh, another thing with the stigmata, she was writing messages in the old Hebrew language. And these are messages that she said she received from God to bring to the Roman, the Vatican Church. All right, so you have the old, I don't remember the name of the language that they say it is, but it's in the old Hebrew language. And when they translated the messages, they did not let anybody know what were the messages, saying, in a sense. Understand? So, everybody's looking at Samoa, to say, boy, it's a blessed place and everything. And as I said before, the people here, them deal with God a different way. You understand? And people love God, man, and them, in the Guinness Book of World Records, Jamaica has a record for the most churches I think it's per square mile. Yeah, most churches per square mile. And I can tell you, the Guinness Book of World Records did not come to Samoa. Come I tell you, I'm not a church in Samoa for such a little place. Yeah, trust me. Yeah, man. Then people there we got different, man. So that stigmata thingy, the first of its kind in a Protestant church, and the first of its kind in the Pacific. And that happened here in Samoa. You understand? So a lot of firsts here in Samoa. Alright? So, yeah. Jeremy and this. Yeah, man, that may I deal with this week. You hear me? Alright. So, next week now, because what I'm looking at, a lot of people have been saying, oh, we must put on more videos and so on. If you look at the bottom of my thingy, in the description, I have a little thing where, you know, we're crowdfunding, because we want the thing better and so on. So if you can spare me some, you know, some silver, yeah, go in it and spare me some silver for, you know, please. See, just click it, you go to the page, you know, I never give you nothing for put on. You understand? You just click wherever you can give and so on, because I try crowdfund to make the thing better, and so we can get the thing up to a standard where we can be more professional and bring better things. Because I just don't want to stuck to this whole Samoa thing. There are other things where we can put out there as well. And I do not want to be in the pasa thing, you know. That I will leave that to that pasa crowd. Understand? So, you know, if where you can help, just help. Alright? Jeremy and this man. Have a great week. Good.